Mae pawb and croeso y dewch I ddarllen a choginio. Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Read and Cook. My name is Richard and heddiw, today, we're going to be making a wonderful, healthy vegetable stew that goes really well with one of my favourite books, which is The Veg Patch Party, written by Claire Foges and Al Murphy. I hope by now that you've got all of your ingredients and equipment ready to cook along with me, but if you haven't, here's what you're going to need. Okay, so now that you've got everything ready, let's get cooking. The first part of today's recipe is to practice our sgiliau cyllell, or our knife skills, by preparing these wonderful vegetables that you would have read about in Veg Patch Party. So let's see if you can recognise some of these vegetables that I've got on my tray. The first one is quite easy, and if you're thinking carrot, you are perfectly right, okay? That's a correct answer. So we've got un carrot just there, and carrot in Welsh is known as moron. Can you say that? Moron. So we've got un moron just there, okay? The next one, I'm sure you all know, I love this vegetable. This one is known as a pepper, okay? And the colour is red, so it's known as a red pepper, or yng Nghymraeg, pupur coch. Can you say that? Pupur coch. Da iawn. So we've got un pupur coch, and I've cut those ones into little slices. The last one that I've got just here is I've got a sweet potato, and I've cut those into little slices. And then the final one is we've got this one just there, and this started life out about that big, just like that, and it's known as a leek, okay, or cennin yng Nghymraeg. So we've got those ones just there. Now I've already prepared those, so I'm going to pop those to the side just here, and you can see on this tray that I've done a little bit of preparation. I've already started to cook my carrots so they're nice and soft for me to prepare, and also it makes our stew quicker to cook afterwards. So I'm going to take 3 pieces of moron just like that. I'm then going to have 2 pieces of my tatws, my sweet potato just there, and I'm going to have 1 piece of pupur coch, and I'm going to have 1 piece of my cennin just there, and I'm going to pop them, now that I've prepared them, all over on the side. Now then, we're going to start off by preparing our carrots to start with, and the knife skill that we're going to learn today is the slicing hand, and that's called the claw. So we're going to start off with the basics. So let's have a look at my 2 knives. Now, as you know, you have got 2 knives that we could possibly be using. So I've got my little doggy knife just there, and I love this little knife because it looks just like a little sausage dog, and I've got 2 naughty little sausage dogs at home, and he's got his nose, his trine, he's got his llygad, clistiau, and he's got his waggly cumfon. But the most important bit on my doggy knife is his igam or zigzag teeth, okay? And because he's got those zigzag teeth, we're not allowed to go chop, chop, chop. We must go llivar, llivar, llivar. Okay, so we've got that one just there. The other knife that you might have is this little plastic knife just here. Both are just as good as each other, but this one has also got our little igam teeth. So with both of the knives, dim, chop, 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 llivar, llivar, llivar. So this is how we're going to do it, right? We're going to practice our sawing action to start with. So can you all put your hands up like that and wiggle your fingers? That's it, well done, okay? And stop, okay? The next thing is, can you imagine you're now holding your knife in one hand and put the other hand down by your sides? And then we're going to practice our sawing, okay? You ready? Saw, saw, saw. Do it with me. Saw, saw, saw. Well done. Now in Welsh, you ready? It's llivar. Barod? Llivar, llivar, llivar. Eto, again. Llivar, llivar, llivar. Da iawn. Now, put this hand down and hold up your other hand. Okay? So we see it non-busy hand now. Hold it out like that and stretch out your fingers so they're going to work afterwards. Stretch them out and stop. Then you're going to push your byssydd together. So push your fingers together. Your bisbawd or your thumb goes underneath just like that, and then you're going to curve your fingers over just like that. So it's a little bit like an animal's claw, okay? You ready to make that noise? So show me your claws. Barod. We're going to, after 3, 2, 1, rawr, da-yam. So with my carrot, I don't want to do it on a wobbly side, flat side down, and then my thumb at the back, fingers pointing straight down, and I'm going to saw. You ready? Dim, chop, chop, chop. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Watch. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cutlet ar y bwrdd, and then we're going to be a tidy chef. All of those go up the top. Can you practice being a tidy chef? Up like that, and then we can pop them into a little line, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 pieces, so I want 5 or 5 pieces from all of my little vegetables. So I'm going to practice on another carrot. You ready? Show me your claws. After 3, 2, 1, rawr. Watch again. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cutlet ar y bwrdd. Tidy chef. Up the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got those ones just there, and I'll do my other carrot afterwards. I've then got my sweet potato, my tatos. Again, we're going to do our little claw. You ready? After 3, 2, 1, rawr. What? Thumb at the back, fingers pointing straight down. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Knife on the table. Tidy chef, you ready? Up like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got those ones just there, and I'll do my other piece of sweet potato afterwards. The last one I've got is my pipir, 5 pieces again. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Cleaver, cleaver, cleaver. Saw, saw, saw. Saw, saw, saw. Knife on the table. Cutlet ar y bwrdd. Chef tactless, tidy chef. Up like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got those ones just there. The last thing that we've got is we have got our little piece of cennin, our leek, right? Now for our leek, I've already cut that in half just like that, and you can take a little leaf or little slither of our leek, and we're just going to tear it, but you have to be super quiet. Listen, I'm going to tear it down just like that into 5 pieces. 3, pip. You ready? I'm going to do it again. So you're tearing just like that, following the little lines. Watch. Tear like that. Rwygo yn Gymraeg. Tearing just like that. And you're going to carry on doing it until you've used it all. So you're going to tear it down just like that until you've used all of your leek. So this is the first stage. In a couple of moments, it's going to be over to you to torri your moron, torri your sweet potato, torri your pipir coch, a torri your cennin, okay? And tear your cennin, remember. And once you've done that, I'll see you in the next stage. Okay, so now that you have prepared your vegetables, we're ready to start making our veg patch stew. And the first job that we've got to do is we've got to get all of our vegetables into the pan, and then we can add all of our other items. Now this job can sometimes be easy, but most of the time it is very, very difficult. So you have to watch how I'm going to pop all of my vegetables into the pan. So I've got my carrots just there, and these, now that you've cut them, have turned really, really heavy. So watch. We're going to pop them into the pan. The sweet potatoes are also really heavy as well. So I'm going to pick those up in my hands and I'm going to pop those in. They're not really heavy, I'm joking. You're meant to be laughing. Watch. I've got my peppers and the rest of my vegetables. Pop those into there, and then I've got my leeks. You ready? So I've got my vegetables in there. I've forgotten a leek just there, but I've also prepared all of my other vegetables as well. So I'm going to tip in, they're now nice and light. So I'm going to tip in the rest of my leeks. I've got the rest of my sweet potato going in, and they're so heavy, I'm just going to push them in just like that, right? I've then got my carrots, my moron, and then finally I'm going to add my red pepper. And you can see that if I hold it up, we're starting to get a rainbow of colours, and it's really important to have different coloured vegetables in our diet because they all contain lots of different nutrients. So in addition to that, I've got some other things that we're going to add. The first thing that we're going to add is we're going to add our onion, and I've already prepared my onion because sometimes people's eyes water when you prepare an onion. So if that happens, leave the root on and hopefully their eyes won't water. So I've already prepared that, and that's all going to get tipped in. The last vegetable that we're going to add for now is I have got some peas. Okay, and peas in Welsh is really easy, it's peas. Okay, so I'm going to tip all of my peas in, and then the last thing that we're going to add for this stage is we're going to add a magic piece of flour called corn flour that's going to help to thicken our stew up. So I've got 2 teaspoons of corn flour just there, and I'm going to tip all of that in just like that, and then I'm going to get a wooden spoon, and what we're going to do is go mix, mix, mix. So I'm going to coat all of my vegetables, and you can see that they're starting to go all white, but that's fine. We mix, mix, mix. In Welsh, mix is cymysgu. Can you say that? Cymysgu. So we cymysgu, cymysgu, cymysgu. And everybody needs to have 3 mixes. So cymysgu, cymysgu, cymysgu. And then once you've done that, I will see you in the next stage. Well, now that you have added your corn flour to the pan, we're ready to start adding the final ingredients. And the first ingredient that we're going to add is 1 can of chopped tomatoes. And you can see I've got my can just there. So I'm going to tip all of those in just like that. The next thing is I have got some water. And with my can of tomatoes, I'm just going to pop my water into that can, and then we won't waste any of that juice, and that's 250 mils of water, and I'm going to pour all of that straight into there. Okay, so I've got now lots and lots of cold liquid just in there, and I can give it a little mix. You ready? Cymysgu, cymysgu, cymysgu. The final thing that we're going to add is we're going to add some flavourings, okay? And you can see on my little tray that I've already measured some herbs and spices. So let me tell you what I have added. This one just here is 1 heaped spoonful of tomato puree. So I'm going to add 1 of those. I've got half a teaspoon of cumin, okay, which is that one. I've got half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and that smells like barbecue flavoured crisps. I've got 1 teaspoon of mixed herbs, and then 1 teaspoon of garlic just there. And the final bit is I've got a little bit of a stock cube. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to tip all of those in just like that. And the final thing is I've got half a stock cube, and this is going to add a little bit of salt, but we shouldn't have too much salt in our diet, so I'm only going to add half of it just like that. So I'm just going to pop that in. My final mix, cymysgu, cymysgu, cymysgu. Mix, mix, mix. Make sure all of your vegetables are coated in all those lovely spices. You can see that's ready now to go on my hob. So I'm going to pop that onto my hob. I'm going to bring it up to the boil, and then we're going to reduce the heat just so it bubbles for a good half an hour to 45 minutes, and you will end up with a beautiful, beautiful veg patch party stew. So this is the next stage. In a couple of moments, it's over to you to add your tomatoes, your water, your herbs and your spices, and start to cook your stew. Well, hello and welcome back. I hope that your stew is now cooking. My veg patch stew has just finished and this room smells absolutely bendigedig fantastic. Now I'm very carefully going to hold this up for you, and I'm hoping that you're able to see that all of my vegetables are now nice and soft. My sauce is thickened, we've got that rainbow of colours, and it really does smell absolutely brilliant. Now then, I'm going to serve this today in my little sort of stew bowl just here, and I've got some little wholemeal bread rolls so that we can dip it in. So let's crack on and I'll show you how to serve it. So let me pop that down there like that, and I've just got a little what we call a ladle, and we're going to ladle 2 spoonfuls into my stew bowl just there. So let me show you. I've got one little ladle just like that, and what I like to do with my ladle, I like to fill it up, make sure that there's no drips coming off it. I dip the base back in, and then I pop my stew straight into my little stew bowl like that, and I'm going to add one more just like that. So pop a little bit on my ladle, make sure everything falls off, dip the base in and pop it back into my little stew bowl like that, and I'm going to push that over the side, and you can see that you have now got all of those beautiful colours. And the last thing I'm going to add, just to bring out all those lovely colours of the vegetables, are some dried parsley. So I'm going to sprinkle that on top. I've got my little bread roll, I'm going to rip that open, and then as I'm eating I can dip my bread roll in just like that. Now I'm going to pop that up just there, and you can see that we've got our veg patch stew. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed cooking along with me today. I've had great fun showing you how to make this wonderful vegetable stew. Don't forget that all the recipe cards are available on our website. The link is coming up for you just there. I look forward to cooking with you again in the future, but in the meantime, cook in your happiness.